bringing you the latest news from Lubbock Cooper Athletics. This is the Pirate Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. Get this over here so I can hear in both ears. We're taking a break from Lubbock Cooper football. They finished their regular season. They lost to Abilene Wiley 22-6. And Chip, that's the last time I'll say your score this week. They're headed to the playoffs. They're going to be the number 3 seed. They've got to make that trip to El Paso. I'm with Jaden Isler, second-year Lady Pirates basketball coach, and Tayley Bullen. You guys have any tournaments in El Paso this year? Tayley, when you talk, you grab that.
Okay. No tournaments in El Paso.
Okay.
Headed to Frisco this weekend, though.
But you guys have made the trip to El Paso before.
We actually met up. Where did we go? Fort Stockton last year.
Okay.
But that's the closest we've gone down there.
You're almost to El Paso when you get to Fort Stockton.
Long
it's
way.
not far. So not a fun playoff trip for Chip and the football guys, but they're in the playoffs, and I bet they play a little bit better.
Yeah, those guys are extremely prepared. I've got the ability to go out there second period when they're working those guys out, and so I try to stay around the game some and get my football itch during the week. And those coaching staffs do a great job of just getting those kids ready to play. I bet they'll be ready. And
I hope folks understand your guys started in August. They played 10 weeks straight, and 17 and 18-year-old kids think they're invincible most of the time, but that'll wear you down.
Yeah, and having that bye week the last week is a tough one, and it'll be a good one for them just to kind of recoup and get some people healthy, and I think they're going to get after them.
How is Big Brother doing up in Canyon?
He's doing good. So he ended up redshirting this year.
Okay.
But it's been a good thing. He loves it. So.
That's one of my favorite stadiums I've been to. When your guys played there earlier this year. That's a beautiful facility.
Yeah, it's brand new, isn't it?
It's 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah. I'd heard it.
Still got a lot of the wrappers on it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, there you go.
Jaden, were you a football guy growing up?
I was basketball and football all through high school. So got to play football for 3 and basketball for 4 at Clovis High. And shout out to Eric Roanhouse. He's the winningest coach in New Mexico's history.
Yes.
And, I had a great time playing for him, and he's in the Hall of Fame and everything else.
He's also one of the most quotable coaches I've ever met.
Hey, he's got more one-liners than anybody I've ever met. And
you can use about half of what he says.
Yeah, that's pretty generous.
Yeah. And one of your position coaches was you were just talking to Jay Northcutt on the way out. Cal Fullerton, Friendship Special Teams Coordinator, was your position coach, or was he?
So he was on the offensive side of the ball whenever I played for them, and I played mostly defense in high school except for in the playoffs. I played receiver, but I love Cal. Coach Fullerton's a great coach. He was the head football coach when I was the head boys coach at Clovis, so we got to spend about 4 years together there, and then both of us ended up here in Lubbock. So
there you go. And Taylor, I think they might know who your mom and dad are, but pressure's on you and Cade from the beginning, from birth, because they were both really good athletes.
Yes, sir. They were both D1. They both went JUCO first and then ended up playing at UNM.
You can brag about them. Tell them what mom was a hurdler.
She, I think, it's a little confusing, but yes, she ran cross country and track at UNM.
She did things that are way harder than this old man could have done. And Dad was a pitcher at UNM.
Yes, sir.
And Dad and I have talked to people, and this name probably means something to Jaden. There's a guy named Alex Bregman that plays for the Houston Astros that your dad knows a little bit, that I actually covered in LSU, and he's a proud New Mexico kid that's done a lot of good things. I think he just won the Gold Glove, in fact.
Yeah, he was a good one, man. He was impressive to watch.
Yep, he was. You guys came on to talk about basketball, though, so let's do that. We're not too close to a break, so we're going to started the season Tuesday night. 1-0, you beat Pampa. I've got the score right here.
75-46.
Yeah, it wasn't very close. You weren't very nice for those people that drove all the way down here.
Well, we teach our kids every day in practice that we're gonna compete and throw punches early, and our girls did a good job of coming out and kind of setting the tone early in that game. And it's not easy for a new group. We got a lot of new faces on the team, and so you don't know how you're going to respond in those moments till you're in them. And I thought we did a good job of handling the beginning of the game. And start of the second half was the same thing, kind of stretched our lead a little bit. And it was good. We got to play everybody a lot of minutes and look at different rotations because it's just a whole new group. We got to kind of figure ourselves out on the fly here.
Taylor, are you the last one remaining from the state runner-up team?
I am.
That's what I thought.
Sir.
So you have somebody who's got that in her background and her DNA. Yeah. So that's a nice building, and she's also a pretty good player.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're excited about this group. It's new, and you know, we get to kind of plug in some pieces we've from the graduation we lost, and you know, Chloe and Tayley both played a lot of minutes for us last year. So even though Chloe's young, she got a lot of experience in her freshman year last year, and so we're kind of relying on those two to kind of build our culture, teach people kind of what we're all about and how we do things, and they've got to kind of lead them on and off the floor. And then we got 2 seniors back that had ACL injuries last year before the season, and so it was nice to see those 2 get on the floor last night in competition. They'd both been off for a while, so we got a little bit of experience to kind of help the young ones along the way, and we've challenged both of them to do that for us, and they're doing a good job right now.
Throw those names out because I always feel like kids that miss a season, people kind of forget about.
Yeah, absolutely. So Diana Hicks and Jordan Tolliver are both back off ACLs, and man, those 2 put in a lot of work in the off season, and they just stayed connected to our culture, and they really fought through the mental adversity of getting back on the floor, which is kind of sometimes harder than all the physical rehab that you've done. And yeah, it was just fun to see them back on the court and getting to play in live action. And I think those 2 will grow all year from game to game, just finally getting back in the mix.
You think Dwayne coaches his daughter with his coaching voice or his dad voice?
Knowing Dwayne, probably a little bit of both, but I bet that coaching voice comes out.
So the very first Liberty home game, they put me where I'm going to sit, and I'm right next to the coaches, and I looked at him. I said, listen, you guys don't worry about me. I don't listen to what you're doing. He's like, you're going to hear some stuff. He was right. That's all right.
That doesn't shock me with him.
I've got a few rings around the tree trunk here. It's not going to faze me too much. If he can get me to blush, it's really going to take something.
Oh, there you go.
We're coming up on a break here. We're going to come back and talk more Lubbock Cooper girls basketball in the Pirate and Lady Pirate fan zone. Again, reminder, Lubbock Cooper football is off this week. They've played their 10 games. They're headed to the playoffs to play a still unknown El Paso team, November 15th, I think it is, unless they play on Thursday, which is possible. That will be in the Class 5A Division II by-district round. That'll be here on 100.7 The Score when it's on. We'll come back and talk more about Lubbock Cooper girls basketball after the break on the Pirate Fan Zone.
Breaking down Lubbock Cooper sports. This is the Pirate Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. Before we get out of here, I'll go back through the football schedule again and make sure that I get Idalu's game correct so I don't get anybody in Idalu angry at me. We're talking Lubbock Cooper girls basketball. Last year, Jaden, was your first year. You inherited a team that had played, probably was 2 or 3 plays away from winning a state championship, 5A state championship. Had some players back from that, had some really good players back. You guys went back and forth in district. We talked about Monterey and Aaliyah Chavez before you ever coached a game, and you knew that was going to be a tough challenge. You guys played them as well as anybody until they got beat by Amarillo High. Things have not changed at Monterey. If anything, they've got a little bit older, a little bit. You guys are different. How, as a coach, you're still a young coach, as a coach, how much do you like the challenge now of a pretty new group, except for Taylor? Now you get to match wits against a coaching legend who's got a pretty good team again when you get into those games. We'll talk about the rest of your district, but just that, just those 2 games, 2 or 3 or 4, however many they're going to be with Monterey. Yeah,
Jill does a great job over there, and like you said, I think their team hasn't changed a lot. If anything, they gained the experience of last year, and some of the role players are a year older and have had that experience of going through a playoff run, and so I expect them to be very similar to last year, if not better in some areas. And for us going into those types of games, we are going in with a new group, but it's like we talked today. We've got Dallas Lincoln tomorrow at 7:00, and our group has just got to learn how do we take a scout and a strategy that we're going to implement for a game, and we've got to get really good at taking things from a one-day scout and going into that game and being able to execute. You don't win big games against good teams and good players without being able to do that. And so for our group, it's just going to be, we got about 13 days before we start district, and it's coming fast, and so this group's going to learn on the fly, and that's what we're working on the process of what helps us win those big games and to be in those types of games against good players, good teams, and good coaches.
So Taylor, Dallas Lincoln, has Coach given you a history lesson on them? They're
actually not yet.
Okay, so
we're getting that tomorrow.
Plainview won 3 state championships in a row, 4A state championships back in the, help me, Jaden, was it the early 2000s?
Probably between 01, 04 maybe.
Yep, and it was Dallas Lincoln they beat, at least 2 of them, maybe 3. So they've been there.
Yeah.
But you're a West Texas girl. You born in West Texas, or were you born in New Mexico?
I was born in New Mexico.
You've got, but your mom and dad got to West Texas as quickly as they could. That's what Greg Sherwood used to always say. I'm going to call you a West Texas girl. West Texas girls, when they get it out there against big teams that have great players, y'all aren't phased. It's like I said, Coach said, you prepare, and you just got a little bit of that DNA and grit to you.
Yes, sir.
Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially with the history playing Aaliyah for years. It's just another game to us.
And for folks that don't know, Taylor spent her freshman year at Trinity Christian, which has a little bit of tradition too.
Yes, sir.
You got there right after they'd won a couple of state championships. Mm-hmm. And then you get to Lubbock Cooper and don't miss a beat. What is it about West Texas girls basketball? And there's a guy that has coached boys and girls. And when we talked when he got the job, he was just excited about being here to coach girls basketball. What is it about West Texas girls basketball that makes it so special?
Basically, everyone can shoot. We're all really determined, and we all have a bunch of history of winning, so we want to keep that alive. And
that's what I'm going to guess that when I talk to Coach more in depth as the season goes on, that's what fired him up about getting here. Yeah. Jaden, hearing a player say that's got to stoke that flame even more for you.
No, absolutely. If you don't like being in a fight and competing in a highly skilled game, I mean, if you're in West Texas, you're going to play players that have grown up in gyms. And like Taylor said, there's every school in this area and all across West Texas has got a storied history that they're very, very proud of. There's deep built-in rivalries throughout West Texas. So you just get those highly competitive games that have emotion behind them. And as a player or a coach, like what other atmosphere do you want to play in? And like you said, like we'll always end up playing Metroplex teams or teams from across the state. And I think the reason West Texas does really well the majority of the time on the girls' side is that skill is king, and it doesn't matter how big you are and how fast you are, how high you can jump. If you're not skilled, it gets exposed. And I think West Texas girls grow up really skilled.
We're going to talk about the fact that you guys get tested before you ever get to that level, especially now, more the way the district's reconfigured. Volleyball coaches probably have tried to give you advice about what to prepare for, not that you didn't know, but we'll be back after the breaks to talk more about Lubbock Cooper girls basketball on the Pirate Fan Zone. I'm Randy Rosetta, and this is 100.7 The Score.
Breaking down Lubbock Cooper sports. This is the Pirate Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I will only bring this up once tonight. I may have to ask you about it again. Season ended last year against Tascosa in a game that didn't go your way, but I'm going to say this with both of you sitting here. I thought the way you guys fought back in that game, even though you don't have a ton of players back, was a pretty good segue. If you're not going to win it, that's as good as you can hope for going into a season, because girls like Taylor and younger girls were like, hey, if we listen and do what we've kind of been taught to do, we're never out of a game. That's the other thing about West Texas girls basketball is you're never – don't leave.
No, not with the 3-point line in West Texas. And, yeah, like you said, obviously we didn't want our season to end there. Tascosa's had a really good team. They'll have another really good team this year. They didn't lose a whole lot of players off that team. Their guards were young last year. But But yeah, and we've talked about it this year, kind of early when we were talking about what type of culture we have and that the standards are for our culture is, like we're not gonna back down from a fight. We're not gonna back down from adversity and how we. There's so many mistakes. Basketball is such an imperfect game. There's so many mistakes that can happen, that are going to happen, that you need to expect to happen. And it's not really the mistakes that always kill you. It's just the response to them. And I think that game was a really perfect example of had a ton of adversity go against us in the second quarter, go like 0 of 17 shooting in the second quarter with a talented shooting team. And it'd have been really easy for us to lay down in that moment. We dug a 20-point hole after being tied after one. And, I just think our culture of our locker rooms and the belief in the girl standing next to you and the belief in the coaching staff to, like, hey, we just got to go play the next play and execute that one and try to dig ourselves out of it. And, you saw the game get cut to 3 there late in the game and give ourselves a chance to get out of there. And they don't always fall your way. And that's something that we try to talk to our players about too. Like, you can do a lot of right things and sometimes it's not your night. But that's not going to change the way we go into it and prepare and fight.
All right, Tayley, Coach set the table for you there. That game, what did you learn about yourself and your younger teammates that you knew were coming back that encouraged you going into the off season?
So I knew we were going to be tough. Obviously, that's a huge thing in West Texas. But just the fight that we had at the end, we got down by, was it like 20?
Yeah, more than 20. Yeah.
I thought it was closer to 30 if I remember right.
Yeah, and then we came back and we cut it to like 5, and we ended up losing by
8 maybe.
8, yeah. So that was just insane because we all believed in each other. We believed in the plan Coach Isler gave us, and we just stuck to it and kept going. And
you're one of the girls that's, if you get behind in a game this year, you're going to be one that they turn to, that they're wanting for leadership and for plays. Mm-hmm. How much did going through that last year kind of put that in your head that I can, because you hit some shots. You helped get, I think it was you and Magic, and I think it was Carly.
Yeah, Carly got a couple in there.
Carly did, yeah.
Which Carly was out there flinging them up from 3-point range. And I was sitting close to her dad, and I looked at him, and he was like, I know. Hey, but you were one of the girls that helped that comeback materialize.
Yes, sir. So I am excited for that this year, just because last year I got like a small taste of it at the end, and I was like, I kind of like that. So,
that's not a bad thing to happen. Now, you didn't shoot them. I'm not going to scold you, I promise. You didn't shoot much the other night, but Chloe did. Mm-hmm. Chloe Young. Mm-hmm. Give me those numbers, Jaden.
I think she finished the game 10 of 14 from 3. She had a couple layups in there as well. Finished with 36. And I'll brag on Taylor. I bragged to her dad after the game. We have such an unselfish group of kids. Like, we've got a lot of kids that can shoot it. We've got like Taylor's the leading scorer coming back from last season. I think Chloe's points were just a little under Taylor's last year. But I was bragging on Taylor of a really like an immature player in that moment where Taylor took some great open looks and it just wasn't falling that night. And the sign of a mature player is the rest of the game would have gone downhill. And I think Taylor led us in rebounding. Led us in assists, had 6 assists. Really, like, when we've found the hot hand all night, when Chloe was on a run, there were some shots I thought Taylor could have taken, and she got it to the hot hand. And, I believe that was a school record in threes. And, Chloe doesn't get that without Taylor being the mature player and making the right play and making the next winning play. And I love the makeup of our team because we've got 11 girls that all think that way, and those types of records don't happen without a team that's really cares about each other and just wants to make the next right winning play.
It's going to be exciting to watch them play. We'll have you guys in again. We've hit the wall here. We're going to transition to the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score, but thank you for coming in for the Pirate Fan Zone. We'll see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.